Next, we have another substitution on your program. We have Meg Wolitzer representing Laura and Groff to pick the next author. Meg, of course, is the author of many wonderful novels, including Belzar and The Interestings and tons of others. And she also is the author of a quote that I use all the time now to explain technology to people. We did an event a few years ago at Behind the Book in Brooklyn, at BAM. And she was talking about emails that she gets from readers. And she said she had just started, maybe within the last 6 months before that, to get emails from people who started their emails with, "I am 73% of the way through your book," or "I am 60. So that was the sort of sign of how technology is changing readership and changing the relationship between readers and writers. And so I steal that whenever possible, and now all of you can too, unless she tells you not to. So please welcome.
Hi everybody. So this is really exciting to be at 5 under 35. But you guys who are getting this sort of awards tonight, you think you're really young, right? But you know, you're not that young. No, you're not. Tomorrow night, I'm actually officiating at 35 under 5. So watch your backs. So I am subbing in tonight for the wonderful, brilliant Lauren Groff. So just picture her, the powerhouse Lauren Groff, and she asked me to read the following. I'm very sorry I can't be here with you to celebrate the 5 wonderful writers who are being honored tonight. Consider Meg Wolitzer a kind of hologram version of me. So I'm kind of like a sad but hopeful hologram. You can see through me just a little. And here's what she had to say. A short while back, The New Yorker published a short story called Wagner in the Desert, which, when I read it, sent bolts of electricity running down my arms. Here, at last, was something new, something that felt new, a wild, funny, twisted voice that is far too cool for the rest of us in our bougie little lives, yet a voice that somehow also seduces us from the first line. I had read 11 books for the 5 under 35 award before I picked up Prodigals, and when I opened the cover, I was jolted for the second time with Wagner in the Desert. I read on, and I found a far deeper pleasure when I understood that the writer's gifts weren't concentrated in the single first story, but rather began to grow in force and scope with each subsequent story in the book. We're all friends here, so I can say that I truly didn't want to love a story collection about privileged white men. A group whose stories have been the ones given absolute primacy over the past few millennia. Although that's about to end, right? Oh wait, no. Sorry. This writer, though, pulled off the near impossible. He made stories that I thought were worn out centuries ago feel vibrant and alive and new. To paraphrase Emily Dickinson, Prodigals made me feel as though the top of my head was taken off. It seems apparent to me, and I bet to nearly everyone who has read the story collection, that the writer of this sharp and elegant book will write many other gorgeous novels and stories. Please join me in applauding the great talent of Greg Jackson.
I was feeling quite sort of despondent today, but then I drank a few whiskey and cokes, and I went from sort of like thunderstorms on the horizon to like mostly cloudy. Also, I wasn't put in charge of the after party, which seems like great oversight at this point, but I will just say I'm still available. I can make some calls. It's really an honor to be here. It's an honor to be on stage with these writers, and it's an honor to have all of you here on what I find to be quite a difficult week. I'm going to read. It's very strange to read one page from your book, so I'm going to read actually at the end of a story called Tanner's Sisters, and all you need to know is that the narrator and Tanner have been having a conversation throughout the entire story, and then they part ways, and this is when they reconnect. When I did see Tanner next, he had begun to fill back in. His hair was clean, his scruff shorn to a handsome stubble. The clothes he wore looked expensive and fit. He joked about our previous meeting, saying how he'd been in a state. Overwrought was the word he used, I think, and he described the intervening months as a rappel à l'ordre. We were at some insignificant party on the roof, drinking cocktails out of Mexican glasses and gazing across the river at the city that loomed above. I watched Tanner as he laughed and made his way through the crowd, watched as he leaned in to make a joke or bent to catch a private word whispered in his ear. He seemed his old self, and so I was surprised later when I saw him gazing at a print, Ruggiero freeing Angelica, I believe, to catch a far-off look in his eye. A look he didn't mask right away on registering my glance, but shared with me, letting it settle briefly in the wry despair of officers who without a word tell each other that they know their city will fall. It was too much for me, this brief window on the shoreless sea we carry around inside us. I said my goodbyes hurriedly and went home, settling in the living room as voices in the dark around me wove a thin fabric from the tatters of what we have been taught to call our lives. Perhaps you will not be surprised to learn, perhaps it is already clear that Tanner and I had ceased to be different people. We are different in the sense that we look different, have different social security numbers and addresses, and that I never met the Magnuson sisters. But in another, and more important sense, of course, I did. I have met them, and it has been the great joy and misfortune of my life. My memory is not perfect, nor would I hope it to be, for if my perception isn't either, this would simply be the faithful transcription of a mistake. But I can still hear the voices that spoke to me in the dark living room that night saying, once, when you thought she was caring for you, your mother was walking the fault line of a perilous terrain. When you see the spires fall, you will know we are singing to you. It is a melody constructed from the martyrdom of a swimming pool full of dead cowards. The earth was ripped open so that you could fall in. It is we, the sisters, come. Come join us at the bottom and sing. Thank you.